Hey, everyone. Welcome back. This is Coach Linda, 100 Days of Purpose. And again, I am catching up on the 4 days that my sound was off. So I've recorded the 100 Days of Purpose for today. And then I went back and I did the one for day 86. And now I'm doing the one for day 87. And tomorrow I will do day 88 and day 89, as well as the current day. Plan for uncertainty. That's what we were talking about today, and that is what I have done. So it didn't take me by surprise, although I did not know that it was happening. And so we're going to talk about part 2 of the circle of fear. And for some, my system is taking a while for it to catch up. So we are going to just kind of hem-haw around here until my notes pop up on my screen so I can get right into it, because I really believe that when you are dealing with doing something new or something you've never done before, we tend to get in that place of complacency, right? We tend to get in that place of, I don't know if I can do this, and I don't know if I want to do this. And we talk about the cycle of fear, and what we're really afraid of is failure. But we need failure in our lives, because failure is where we learn our lessons. Failure is where we get the wisdom, right? Because many of us, we have knowledge, but we don't have the wisdom, which is knowledge applied. We don't understand how to get from place A to place B. We don't know how to get from where we are to where we want to be. And it frustrates us. And the more we feed the fear, the more we play with the fear, the more it grows and the more it gets out of control. And so we have got to understand that. And so here it is. We're going to talk about the actual cycle today. And we're going to, we've talked about there is a cycle, right? And the more you feed into it, the more fear grows. But here's how it works. Okay. Number one, you get triggered, right? There's a trigger. Fear is triggered by an event, a recollection, by an environment. It's something that occurs that's not all the way expected. you knew that something could happen, you just didn't know what was going to happen. And you get into this place and someone says something, someone does something, you have a familiar smell, whatever it may be, there's a trigger. Okay. That trigger causes what we say the second stage of the cycle would be. Number one is the trigger. Number two would be the fear response. So this event happens, this recollection, this environment, these words, this feeling, emotion stirred happens, right? And because it brings you back to a place of fear, or it brings you back to an unwanted experience, an unwanted thought, you have what we call a fear response. Okay. If you've ever been in a fire, right? Whether you got hurt in the fire or not, if you were in a fire, that left its mark on you. And so when you see fire, when you hear a fire story, these California fires, whatever it may be, those are triggers for you. And they cause a fear response because you put yourself back in that moment of fear that you felt when you were in the fire. And it'll cause you to make rash decisions. It'll cause you to leave abruptly. It's just, it's the flight of you, right? And it's not really you're fleeing for your survival, but you just don't want to deal with it. Thus, the cycle feeds that fear. That response feeds that fear, and that fear becomes uncontrollable, and it begins to control you. And so now you have a fear of fire when maybe before you never did, but now you have the fear of fire. And every time that you hear it, you see it, you smell it, you feel it, you experience it in any type of way, you are paralyzed and you cannot move forward. And that goes for anything that will trigger you. Okay. So number one, we have the trigger. Number two, we have the response, the fear response. Then number three is the negative feeling. So now you've been triggered. You have that initial fear response, and now the negative feelings, or what I call the what if spiral, begins. So now you're into all this negativity. You're having these bad thoughts. You're having these bad emotions, these bad feelings. You're saying the wrong words. You're arguing with people around you that are trying to help you. You're irritable. You're overwhelmed. And so all of these negative feelings start just cascading out of you. And it becomes uncontrollable and unstoppable. Even if you want to try to stop it, you can't, because it's just spiraling, and you're what ifing it to death, right? What if this happens? Then this is going to happen. Then this is going to happen. Then this is going to happen. What if that happens? Then this is going to happen. And you're just what ifing it, what ifing it, what ifing it, right? And you're spiraling. And the more you feed it, the bigger it grows. So it's a web. And I said this earlier, it's a web that you can't get out of. It's quicksand that the more you move around, the more you sink. So you have the trigger, you have the fear response, and then you have the negative feeling. And that negative feeling thrust you into number 4, which is self self-destructive behavior. So you had number one, the trigger. That trigger caused you to have a fear response. That fear response caused you to have a negative feeling. That negative feeling is now bringing you into self-destructive mode. And now your behavior has become erratic and you are doing things that you probably normally would not do if you weren't in a fearful state of mind. So let's go back to the fear responses, because I talked about, feeling the fear of the moment, but there's also panic, there's blaming, there's finger pointing, ridiculing, compulsive buying. Some people will smoke, puff on a joint, puff, puff, pass, take drugs, drink alcohol. So there's different types of responses. I want you to know that. So not all of it is just, well, I must not have had a fear response because Linda said it was feeling the moment and the fear in the moment. No, it can be a lot of things. Your initial response, if negative, to a trigger is a fear response, okay? And that will bring you, and some people cheat. Your wife, you're with your mate, your significant other, and you feel the little pressure that they want to get married, and you're not quite ready there, and you're scared to go to that next level and commit, and you go out and you cheat. You were triggered by feeling that they wanted something deeper. Your fear response was to cheat, to sabotage. Okay, then that brings us to number 3, which is the negative feelings. And so once you have done that, once you've been triggered and you've had that fear response, now the negative feelings come in, the feelings of regret, the feelings of remorse, the feelings of hate, bitterness, anger, rage, wrath, being unloved. And it just goes on and on and on, and it builds, and you start thinking, what if, 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 and you begin to spiral. You feel helpless, you feel unloved, you feel unneeded, unnecessary. Regret, remorse. You feel like a failure. You feel like the loser you aren't. Okay? And so there's a lot of things that go on. A lot of emotions that flood you and overwhelm you, which leads us to that self-destructive behavior. Some people shut down and they stop talking. Some people go out and, like I said, get drunk, take drugs, speed, compulsive buy, become a shopaholic, spend money that they really can't afford to spend, go out and become somebody's toy for the night. You just do things that further feed those negative feelings. You become overwhelmed. You can't handle the truth. Thus, you're acting out in a way that is not conducive to who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. It's that whole, I'm going to go on Facebook and rant and rave about such and such and such, and then 5 minutes later you and the person is back to being friends, but everybody talking about the person online because you done aired their badness or you done aired your situation with them. And when they see y'all hanging together, they're like, oh, you're a hypocrite because you said da 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 da. I thought you said da da. In a moment, you were triggered. You had a fear response. You got all into those negative feelings, and then you allowed that self-destructive behavior to take over. You start comparing yourself to other people. You start wearing down your self-worth. And so, in order for you to overcome fear and overcome this cycle, you've got to understand that it starts with your perception of the triggering event. Right? When you feel triggered, first you got to know what your triggers are. And when you feel triggered, you have to ask yourself, wait a minute, is this what's really happening? Or is this because I've been hurt before? Or I've been in a situation similar to this before? Is the reality now, or am I pulling in yesterday's reality? You embrace the fear. You embrace the trigger. You embrace what's occurring in the here and the now. You stay present. You don't allow yourself to wander. And tomorrow we're going to talk about fear versus the truth, because I want you to recognize and understand that there is a way to recognize these triggers and these fear responses, and where there is an issue and a problem, there is an escape. There is a way to get out of it before you get pulled in deeper. And that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So I am Coach Linda. This is 100 Days of Purpose. I am re-recording these because the sound was not there when I was talking. You could hear it until I started talking because my mic was off. But I believe my mic is on, but I'm going to check it. And so tomorrow I'm going to do the current day that we are on. And then I will do day 88 and day 87, or excuse me, day 88 and day 89, re-record those, and then we'll be all caught up. I'm not tacking on days to the 100 days because it's not like I didn't do the video. It was just the sound was off, so I have to re-record them. And so I rather do it this way so you guys can get the information and use the information, and hopefully you will ask me any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. You can type them below in the chat, or you can go to my email, send me an email, go to the website and set up a free consultation. It's a 20-minute consultation, and I guarantee you it'll be the best 20 minutes you've ever had, because you will come out with some information. And then if we choose to work together, we can talk about what that looks like. But listen, do not let fear halt, stop, or hinder you from becoming the person of purpose that you were strategically placed on earth to become. Remember, only those that can see the invisible can achieve the impossible. And I double dog dare you to be exactly who you were created to be. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just get up and shine bright. I am Coach Linda. This is 100 Days of Purpose, and I am outie.